Well, look at that. It is Sunday morning, 8:33. So that's 8:30-ish in your world. And you're here for Sports Talk 916. Well, you're at the right place. I'm Coach Greg Veroza. On that side today is Greg Bowl. And together we're the two-headed monsters of Greg that we call Sports Talk 916. And we're ready to go. What's happening?
Another day, another week. We're on time. We have stuff to talk about. This is 2 weeks in a row. That's like a 2-week winning streak.
Right? Winning.
Right. So how was your week, sir?
Actually, it was pretty busy. Got a couple of deals going. Had a home inspection yesterday for some clients that have had two really shitty experiences so far with houses, and I think we finally got them a winner. Got some good coaching stuff in.
Nice.
And their houses, my aunt's house actually, she had a little cabana or little cabin, right? Probably about 50 feet from her house. The cabin burned to the ground. Her house was untouched.
Oh, that's
So,
fantastic.
yeah, and so all of my cousins and everything seem to be doing pretty well. So a lot of people lost a lot of stuff, and a lot of people have to start over. But I think they're going to be fine. Also got to talk to somebody I hadn't talked to in about 20, probably 20 years. Got to talk to one of my old swim coaches who unfortunately lost his house, but he's got a good attitude. We found him a rental. I helped out with that a little bit over in Santa Rosa. And so, yeah, it was actually a pretty good week. I'm pretty happy. How about you?
Same old, man. Like I said, just working, doing the school thing.
Other than realizing your daughter is now taller than your wife.
Yeah, so that's been a fun little realization. Just been, working out. I threw my back out last week, like super bad, to the point where it like dropped me to the ground. And then, it felt good like 2 days later. So I was working out again and I threw it out again. So now
do you think maybe you're doing something when you're working out that's throwing your back out?
I don't know. I need to stretch. I need to do more preventative stuff, which I never do. So that's my big thing. But I have a forced week off starting Monday, so that'll be nice.
A forced week off?
Yeah. Going in for a little voluntary procedure, so yeah, we'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so no more little Gregs will be running around in the future.
Oh, so. Now you're supposed to wait until March to do that.
No, I'm good.
No. You know that the number one day for that is the Wednesday before or the Wednesday of the first week of March Madness.
No. Oh, that way I can sit at home. Yeah,
statistically, there are more of those procedures done that Wednesday before the first week of March Madness than any other day of the year.
See, the thing is, I work from home, so I'm not taking a week off of work. I don't have a strenuous job that leaves me to stay home. So, it is what it is. I fully anticipated this thing being done in like January with COVID and with everything going on. I called them and they're like, Monday at 3:30, and this was on Tuesday. I was like, oh, all right, well, cool. Yeah. Anyways, people don't want to hear about that, though. They want to talk about sports. So let's start off with the Sacramento Kings because there are very interesting rumors running around right now. And the first one that came out was that the Milwaukee Bucks are expected to be heavily interested and invested in the idea of signing Bogdan Bogdanovic from the Sacramento Kings. I think he would fit in great there with Chris Middleton and with Brogdon and a few other guys. Probably not Giannis because I think Giannis is gone. So, a decent filler to add a little bit of clout to that offense. He doesn't need to play a lot of defense. He can kind of hide in the system and and do different things there. Kings fans are freaking out about this, right? They're all up in arms. They're all worried about it, but they tend to forget that Bogey is a restricted free agent. So the Kings have the right to match all offers that come in for Bogey, right? So my question to you is, at what point do the Kings decide, okay, we're going to match any offer, we're going to facilitate a sign and trade somewhere, we're just going to, we're going to let him walk, because I do believe they still have his bird rights, so they'll get something for him. But where do you think this new general manager comes into play with a plan for Bogey? Because he hasn't been around, he doesn't know what's going on there with the dynamic of Bogey.
As far as he knows what's going on.
With as far as like relationships and go, that he hasn't been around enough to know like the full true ins and outs of it. He's only going to get hearsay at this point.
Right.
If you put yourself in Monte McNair's shoes, where do you or how do you approach Bogey this offseason?
Well, I think you match anything that's not going to handicap you. So if somebody makes an offer that the Kings can match and it's not going to throw them into a tailspin where they're only left being able to sign bench players or, non-quality players, then I think you re-sign him. If not, I think you do a sign and trade. You have to get something for him. And I don't think the way the makeup of this team is right now, I don't think you can have you can't have Bogey, you can't have Buddy, you can't have De'Aaron, you can't have all three of those guys on one team. It doesn't work. So I think one of those guys for sure is going to have to be gone. And if it ends up, and I'd rather it not be Bogey, because I think he's out of the three, I think he's the most versatile on offense, not necessarily defense, but on offense, he's the most versatile. But if you can get a good piece for him, then fine. But you just can't match any offer that's going to put you in a spot where, okay, we're done. We re-signed Bogey. We can't do anything else.
Right, and TJ corrected me. I forgot that Malcolm Brogdon did leave and go to Indiana, so he's not there. But so yeah, I agree with you. There's got to be a breaking point. You can't just match to match.
Right.
So the Kings offered him $450 last season. He turned that down. He bet on himself, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Which means the Kings are going to probably have to pay a lot more than that to keep him. Just because teams know where the Kings benchmark is. So they're going to try to up that in order to take advantage of the fact that the Kings basically showed their hand. Now, I don't know if Milwaukee is how strong set they are on Bogey. And it'll be interesting. There's always the option of doing a sign and trade. If they're super interested, they make a big offer. The Kings don't want to the Kings don't want to match it. They can work out a sign and trade with Milwaukee to grab someone off of their roster. However, when you look at Milwaukee's roster, there's not a lot of sexy standout names that you're going to make a trade for.
But do the Kings really need us? I'm going to contradict myself here right now. Do they need a sexy name, or do they need a good quality player?
Okay, so let me rephrase that then. Let's say the offer for Bogey is $460, right? For easy math, $20 million a year. That would not be $20 million a year. That would be $360. It would be $20 million a year. Let's just say that's where he lands at. I don't think he will. He'll probably be more in like the 12 to 15 range, but I'm not good at math. So, so 460 would be 15. Let's say he's at the $15 million a year range. Okay, well, the NBA, you have to have salaries that match. Right. You can't just dump. Oscar, I have a feeling I don't believe that for some reason. He says if Bogey leaves, I'm done. it's going to be like the second coming of a Omri Caspi.
Right.
If he's going to throw a party of some sort. Obviously, you're not going to get Giannis, right? He's going to be a free agent. They're not going to do a double sign and trade. You don't need a guy like Brooks Lopez. Wesley Matthews isn't a terrible player, but he's 11 years in the league. The guy that I really like, and I think would be a good guy to try to trade for if you have to, would be Dante DiVincenzo. Really good shooting guard, young player. He'll be going into his third year. Not bad at all. But then like Chris Middleton, like that's the sexy name, right? Like I would love Chris Middleton.
But you're not going to get Chris Middleton for Bogdanovich.
However, if you look at Chris Middleton's contract is fucking ridiculous.
Is it?
It's like 32 this year, and then it goes up from there. Like it is unbelievable. So Middleton right now, he signed a 5-year, $177 million contract, and that was his current contract. So that was in this last year. So he made $30 million this year. He makes 33 next year, 35.5 in 21-22, 37.9 in 22-23, and then his last year of his contract, which is a player option, he makes $40.3 million on that deal.
So that's exactly what I was talking about.
That would be the crippling contract.
You're not going to do something like that to cripple you for the next 5 years, and that's exactly what would happen with Chris Middleton. So strike him off our list.
So the other thing that is, and then there's other guys. There's like the George Hills and the Frank Masons on their roster, and there's Marvin Williams. Now you can get an Antetokounmpo, but it's gonna be Thanasis, which is his younger brother.
Dude, he's got some upside.
His older brother. So you can go that route. Kyle Korver's old as hell. George Hill, Eric Bledsoe, but again, a big contract. So I don't personally feel that Milwaukee would be the team to sign and trade with. Personally, like I would pray that another team gets bogey happy,
or get into a three-way trade.
Yeah. Now, what gets interesting though is multiple sources are reporting that the Sacramento Kings have their eyes on a big player. Now, I know you're sitting down because you're not very stable and you don't stand up a lot. The Sacramento Kings have their eye on Giannis Antetokounmpo in free agency.
So do 30 or 29 other teams.
Right. So I was
that's like saying I have my eye on that double hot fudge sundae from Baskin Robbins with extra hot fudge on it, but
right. So
doesn't mean I'm going to get it.
Right. So realistically, I mean, I don't see a situation where the Kings could ever put together a package that I can't even think of anything that's going to allow the Kings to even sniff a phone call with them.
No.
Like, the only way that I could see this happening would be like the Kings going, all right, look, we want Giannis. We want to do a sign and trade. We're going to max him out. We're going to do a sign and trade. We're going to go ahead and take Giannis. You guys are going to get Buddy, Bogey, Marvin Bagley, and
Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, and and someone else on we have Luke Walton too. Like fuck it, we have Alvin Gentry on our bench now. You can have Walton as well. Like, I don't see. I get people need traffic on their Twitters and they need traffic on their links. I mean, what better way to draw up clickbait than, the Kings are interested in so and so. Oh, the Kings are interested in bringing Michael Jordan out of retirement. Someone's going to click on that. But what's funny, and it's in typical Sacramento Kings fashion, is Kings fans are losing their fucking mind about it. Oh, the Kings are going to go after Freak. They're going to go after Giannis. Really? Really, Kings fans? Like, you really think that, one, he's going to take the phone call because he's not already in small market purgatory. He's in Milwaukee. Like, Sacramento is like, Milwaukee's here. Sacramento's like here. There's not much more other than the fact that we don't get snowed in every year that gives you a reason to want to even talk to Sacramento. It's like, I don't understand how the Kings fans can be going as crazy for this as they are.
We've talked about this before. We talked about this when the show first started years ago, that we have some fans that are good. We have some fans that are smart and intelligent and know sports. But then we have a whole shitload of fans that just aren't, I don't know if you want to say mature sports fans, but just realistic and educated sports fans. It happens all the time. Now, I have news for Sacramento that Antetokounmpo could very well end up in Northern California.
Yeah, it's not going to be north of the Bay Area or west.
It's going to be, it might be right there on whatever Pier 36 or whatever they're at. He very well could end up in Northern California, but it's not going to be in Sacramento. I think there's probably maybe 5 or 6 teams that he could end up with. Probably, I would say the Clippers, Boston, maybe Philadelphia, Dallas, Golden State, maybe. I can't see too many other teams in a market that he would want to play in, that have the capital or know how to get him, that won't have to overpay for him. Golden State's not going to have to max him out to get him.
Right.
They can sign him for a little bit less money, and give him a chance to. Can you imagine with him playing with Clay and Steph, what he could do inside?
And Draymond?
Oh, God.
If Kings fans or if fans of the NBA thought that it was unfair when Durant signed, the suicide rate of NBA fans would go through the roof. Because not only, and I think Golden State and Dallas are honestly the two most likely situations for Giannis. Him and Luka down there in Dallas would be insane. And I think Mark Cuban would roll out the red carpet for him.
Absolutely.
I don't think the Clippers have a shot, especially with Tyronn Lue now at coach. I just don't think that's an appealing situation.
They have some talent there, though, that he would play well with.
But they wouldn't. They don't have enough talent for him to take a sweetheart deal.
Yeah,
I think that they would be a required max contract.
But they could do it too. They have the ability. Ballmer's got the money to do it, and not have to worry about paying luxury taxes.
Yeah, but I believe they were already a luxury tax team, which means they'd be paying more on the luxury tax if they go over it again next season. So that would be a real tough one. They're going to be losing a lot of players as well. Like their roster was set up for this year and this year only. So I don't think Giannis makes sense there. Golden State is fucking scary without Giannis. You got to think about it. Draymond pretty much took the year off. They only played like 30-something games because the season got cut short, and they were one of the worst teams in the league, so they didn't go to the bubble. So they got basically their off season started in March as opposed to the end of May, early June, which their season hasn't stopped before July in like 6 years.
Right.
So they got this extended off season. They shut down Steph early. Clay was shut down the whole year. So you're basically getting a 2-year rested Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and a 1.5 rested Draymond. Not to mention all the other pieces that they're going to bring in,
and the second overall draft pick, or somebody for him.
Right, and that could be a sign and trade with Milwaukee as well.
Yeah,
Milwaukee signs them, they get a nice sweetheart deal out of it. Okay, now you guys get insert player here and number 2 overall. Milwaukee's right back in the mix.
Yeah,
like it's gonna be crazy. Like, let's just look at the top free agents. Like, let's just say you're Golden State's general manager, and you're gonna work sign and trades, and number 2 is on the table. Well, Anthony Davis is likely going to opt out in LA.
Yeah, so he's going to resign though. He'll resign.
Yeah, but if they can maybe work out a deal there, all right, cool. Brandon Ingram, they don't need Fred VanVleet. Yeah, Gordon Hayward, DeMar DeRozan. Bogdan's ranked 8th on the free agent list. Yeah. You have Evan Fournier, Montrezl Harrell, Goran Dragic, Marcus Morris, Serge Ibaka. I mean, Andre Drummond, Jay Crowder. Like, the names go on and on and on with what the Warriors could do. And now none of these guys are going to garner a number 2 overall pick. Giannis could be one of them. If they work out a deal. I believe Giannis is actually still under contract as well, because he's not even showing up on this.
I wonder if he has an opt-out clause.
That's what I'm going to look up real quick here. So Giannis so he has 1 more year. So next year is his sweetheart year. So next year they have to decide what they're going to do with them. So a sign and trade, let's say the Kings somehow pull off a sign and trade for Giannis, right?
They'll get him for a year.
They're only going to get him for 1 year at $27.5 million. And then he's an unrestricted free agent next year. So definitely not. I mean, he's going to get traded next year. Giannis is going to finish next season on a different team.
Yeah.
God, he's the 36th highest paid player in the NBA.
Not for long.
At $27 million, he's 36.
Shit.
Good Lord. So the other thing here, before we let you do your little promo spot, because I got to run up and grab my charger here because I forgot to bring it down. Other things that Kings fans, and we're going to stick to the idiot Kings fan rhetoric here. The other thing Kings fans are jumping up and down for, because Monte McNair is, new to the city and wants to build a solid team, is they need to bring back Isaiah Thomas, and they need to bring back DeMarcus Cousins, because he has a championship ring now. He has a pedigree. He's been rested for 1.5 years. He's going to be healthy. Vlade is gone, and now it's a fresh start. And da 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 da. What the fuck is wrong with Kings fans? Why? First of all, if DeMarcus is healthy and he's rested because he hasn't played in quite some time, maybe not a bad guy to bring in on like a 2-year deal to see how he feels, right? Skills wise, you can't get much better than a big man like DeMarcus Cousins.
Old DeMarcus Cousins.
And maybe the new, like, he's posted some videos and he looks lean, he looks fast, he looks healthy, he's jumping good, whatever, right? But
TJ.
The better question to that is, why the fuck do people think that DeMarcus Cousins would want to come back to Sacramento to play for the Kings? It makes no sense to me.
That's the issue that we've always had with Sacramento Kings fans is, somebody plays here and all of a sudden we fall in love with them and they leave and all we can do is talk about bringing him back. Yeah.
Oscar's on one today.
I know he's on a roll, isn't he? Whiteside. Whiteside doesn't do shit here. leaves here, has a couple of good seasons, and all of a sudden we need to bring him back. This town falls in love with players, and they were no good when they were here. They're all only getting older. Not going to bring it back and get better. You have to move on. And for some reason, this town is head over heels in love with DeMarcus Cousins. And
let me ask you a question a little bit different on that, to expand on that. Do Kings fans fall in love with mediocre players, or, and I can't believe I'm going to even say this because I'm agreeing with someone that we both, are so fond of, Sammy Spearman.
Yeah.
But this falls right into what he said, and it makes me want to question it. Or are Kings fans just content with losing games? Are they so content with let's feel good in the moment that they don't look big picture, they don't care if we lose?
I don't think it's that. I think it's they fall in love with what they know. And they know DeMarcus Cousins. They know Isaiah Thomas. They have a memory of what they were a couple of years ago. And a lot of them think that if we bring them back, we're going to get the Isaiah Thomas of his first or second year in the league. We're going to get the DeMarcus Cousins of the third or fourth year in the league, where he could have been dominant if he got his head out of his ass. But it's not going to happen. And I think it's not that they fall in love because they want to lose. I think it's they fall in love with the known commodities that those guys were, and they long to get that back and maybe have them reach their potential that everybody thinks that they really had.
So here's the way that I take what you just said, and I don't want to joke about serious situations. However, I don't think that there's a better correlation between the two. Kings fans are that young female who defends her asshole boyfriend and keeps going back to him. Oh, we've been together for so long, so I'm going to go back to him. Yeah, but he hits you. No. He doesn't hit me. His hand is always open. He just slaps me a few times, but he's never actually hit me.
And I deserved it.
Yeah, but I did something wrong, so I'm going to go back to him.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you need to leave. But I can't leave. Well, why? Because my CDs are in his truck. If I leave now, I'm going to lose like 200 CDs. And that's the way Kings fans are. They want to. They're so stuck on what they know, what they're comfortable with. It's like a trash marriage, right? Oh, well, he's bad for you. He's cheated on you. You guys don't get along. You fight. Why are you still with him? Well, it's because of the kids. I'm not going to leave because of the kids. Well, yeah, but all the kids are watching this toxic ass relationship. It's not getting better. Your kids are getting older. They're realizing what's going on. No. It's better for me to be here. Fucking pull your head out of your ass. It's not going to get better. It's not going to get better if the Sacramento Kings bring back DeMarcus Cousins. It's not going to get better if they bring back Tyreek Evans or Hassan Whiteside or Jimmer or, insert player here. Now, Oscar, I agree with you. If they brought back Lot J in the Cantina, things would be much better because then we could bring our sorrows away and it would work. I don't know, man. Kings fans, they blow my mind.
I think that's an excellent example of Kings fans. They don't know any better, and in the grand scheme of sports, Sacramento Kings fans are a pretty young fan base. I mean, it's only been 35 years, and there's been out of that 35 years, there's been what, 5 years of success?
Yeah.
And so they don't know, they haven't seen a team build up, run its course, go back, take a couple steps backward, rebuild, and that other teams like Golden State or Boston or, insert successful team, Lakers, the situations aren't all the same, but the fans in those areas know, okay, this is what we have to do. And at some point, we have to purge everybody and start over. And bringing back Magic Johnson isn't going to win us an NBA title. And so we have to move on. And they haven't seen that because it hasn't happened through a whole lot of stupid reasons. And, you know, I just think it's the immaturity as an overall fan base. And the other thing is we only have one team. You know, we don't have multiple teams to be able to look at and draw examples from and draw experience from. So, you know, I think it's just part of being here in Sacramento.
For sure. All right, cool. Let's do this. Let's switch topics. I'm going to give you the floor. I know you're campaigning to do a new movement for all of those that are leaving California or leaving the country. So let's go ahead and give you the floor. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. I'm going to go grab what I need, and then we're going to jump into Major League Baseball talk. Oscar, don't leave yet. I got a question for you.
All right. And hey, Oscar, just for you, I looked this up, and I haven't done this for a while. Today is National Chocolate Cupcake Day. So have one for me, buddy. It's not on my diet, but please have a chocolate cupcake for me. So our country's really fucked up right now. You know, it's and I'm not going to divulge what my political beliefs are here, but there's a lot of people that aren't happy with our president. There's a lot of people that aren't happy with the options that they have to vote for. Somebody's going to win, and there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are just pissed off. There's another group of people here that aren't happy with our wonderful governor who's making all kinds of dumbass decisions. Oops, I think I just blew that. Let you know where I felt on that. So if you're thinking about leaving California, you just can't stand what Newsom's doing to us. If you're thinking about leaving the country because you don't like what's going on and you don't like who the next president's going to be, you need to talk to me. I can get your house sold. We can get you moved out here. I can have you moved out of here into another place by Thanksgiving if we start right now. So interest rates are really low all over the country. Demand for houses is as high as it's ever been. It's the perfect storm to sell. If you're interested in selling, if you want to move to Idaho, if you want to move to Texas, if you want to move to Australia, I got hookups. We are actually the largest real estate company in the world. We have offices in over 50 regions of the world, so we're worldwide. We have offices in all 50 states, Canada, Mexico. So if you're looking to move, if you're not happy with the way things are, or you know, you just want to upsize or downsize, give me a call, 916-223-6688. And let's talk about getting you sold and getting you into something new, or let me get you referred to somebody in another part of the country or world, and let's get you in a house where you're going to be happy. So, and go out and vote too.
We're not going to get political here, sir.
I didn't get political. I just dropped the new scum.
I fucking can't stand him. All right, Major League Baseball. So the Tampa Bay Rays went through and ruined. Well, they almost didn't, but they went through and ruined my.
They tried their hardest.
Yeah, they tried to really fuck up my dream scenario, but they knocked out the Astros in 3-2. No, sorry, 4-2, 4-3. I can't talk. 4-3. So they went 7 games. And I don't know that they're playing a better brand of baseball. I don't know if anyone playing a better brand of baseball right now than the Tampa Bay Rays.
And they're fun to watch.
They are fun to watch. They ran through New York like it was nothing, like they were standing still. They made Houston look silly to begin the season or to begin the series. Their rookie Arizona is a fucking beast. 7 home runs in the playoffs as a rookie, the most in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah.
He He does it from both. He hits the ball both ways in the field. He's playing just amazing baseball. Like, it's gonna be one of those things. He's one of the very few rookies to win an ALCS MVP, and he's the first position player to do so. The only 3 rookies that had ever won ALCS MVP were pitchers. Mike Boddicker in '83, Livan Hernandez in '97. He won the NLCS and World Series MVP. And then Michael Wacha won the NLCS MVP for the Cardinals in 2013. So, kid is just killing it. He hit 321 off of Houston in the series. Like I said, 7 home runs. He hit the game-winning home run in Game 7. Kid is just smashing it. On the flip side to that, not only, and on top of that, they're pitching him, and it's just phenomenal right now. On the flip side, Atlanta hadn't lost the game until Game 3 of their series against the Dodgers. Dodgers put up like 46 runs in 4 at-bats somehow in the first game. Completely lit them up. Ended up winning the game 15-3, I believe it was. That series is now headed to 7 games. The Dodgers, obviously, you can't not expect them to somehow pull this off. I mean, it's the Dodgers. It's Dave Roberts, I believe, is coaching for his job or managing for his job.
I just had a thought. Maybe the Dodgers will lose. We can get rid of our piece of shit manager and hire Dave Roberts because he's a former Giant.
He is a former Giant. And him and Farhan have a very good working relationship.
That would be my dream scenario.
Yeah, it's that would be interesting for sure. But he's campaigning for his job. The Dodgers are looking to go to their 3rd World Series in a row. They've won like 19 straight NL pennants. And today's game should be interesting. The Dodgers haven't announced who's pitching today's game yet. I can almost guarantee you that it will not be Clayton Kershaw. No. But that's my next question. I even put it out there the other day when we were talking about, someone brought it up on our on our Facebook page.
I posted that picture of him kind of looking dejected and
Oscar wants Bochy. He said we can have Roberts and he'll take Bochy. God, that would be painful. Can the Dodgers? What do the Dodgers do? Obviously, they can trust him. They have to trust him. They have like $400 million wrapped up in the damn guy. But what do the Dodgers do, or what should they do with Clayton Kershaw going forward? How do you roll him out there in the postseason? I mean, it's one of those things right now where it's like he's arguably one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
And there's not a guy that I would rather have on the mound, even as a Giants fan, until there's a postseason patch on his sleeve. He does not like, and normally the argument is he's their horse. You're right. I'm sorry, not 300. Yeah. He's their horse. He pitches all their innings. He's, normally it's arm fatigue. He's tired. He's this, he's that. That's not the case this year. 60-game season. He pitched, way less innings this year. Do they wash their hands of him and move on if they don't win it this year? No,
you can't do that.
Oscar just said that the Dodgers need to let Kershaw go like the midgets did with Bum. The Kershaw, man, I mean, I get that it's hard to say we're going to let him go, right? And yeah, Kenley Jansen needs to go as well. But at what point they don't give trophy? I mean, I guess Major League Baseball does give a few trophies, but they don't give World Series rings and parades for being the best regular season pitcher. They just don't. He has yet to prove that he can show up in the big game in the playoffs. And Oscar, just hit it right on the head. it's mental. His confidence is gone when it comes to playoff baseball because he knows that he doesn't pitch it. He doesn't pitch well. So if you're the Dodgers general manager, what do? I mean, he makes $31 million a year in base salary last season, this season, and next season. Plus, he gets $1 million bonus for 24 starts, 26 starts, 28 starts, and 30 starts. He gets an extra $1.5 million if he wins the Cy Young, $500,000 if he gets second or third place in the Cy Young voting. It's a lot of money for regular season accomplishments. What do you do with Clayton Kershaw?
I don't know. This is a tough one because one, he's a Dodger, and we're supposed to hate the Dodgers. And you kind of said it the other day.
I'm starting to feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, you kind of feel bad because being a Dodger, it's fun to root against them, but you also want to see those guys that that are the best in the game have some kind of success. And it's gone past the it's Kershaw, he's going to choke in the playoffs. And like you said, it kind of opened my eye the other day when you said that. You got to feel sorry for the dude because he's and by all accounts he's a great guy. Look at how he handled when that game last year when Bumgarner, it was his last game at Pac Bell or AT&T or whatever, the Oracle or whatever the fuck they call it now. He got up and he showed a class move and gave him a standing ovation, and he's just a good guy. And as much as I want to see the Dodgers lose, which I'm fine with, that's cool. You want him to show some success and be able to. It's fun watching him pitch. It really is. It's fun watching him pitch.
Well, and that's the thing is I've sat down and before I posted that thing about feeling bad for him, I literally sat down and I went through my head. I went, okay, why do I hate Clayton Kershaw? Why? What about this guy do I absolutely hate about him? And it made me feel very reminiscent of the Kobe Bryant situation. I hated Kobe Bryant because he was a Laker. Mm-hmm. And it was not until his final season that I let all that go. And I watched him for what he was. And I watched him for the pure talent and heart and emotion and ability that he put out on the basketball court. And I kicked myself in the ass for not enjoying it sooner.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no reason to not like Clayton Kershaw other than the fact that he wears Dodger blue. He's never thrown at anybody out of animosity or spite. You never see him getting in a fight. He's not like Bumgarner where he's, arguing with the umpires or yelling at people or throwing the ball at people, which, even if he did, it doesn't bother me when pitchers do that. You know what I mean? But because it shows that they care. It's literally their, I don't know. It's their emotion right on the sleeve, right? They pitch once every 5 days. It's on them. If their team sucks ass and doesn't hit, and they pitch a gym and lose 1-0, guess who gets the loss? It's a tough gig. But even that aside, Kershaw has never done anything in regards to, other than whooping the shit out of some Gatorade jugs. He's never shown any reason to hate the guy. And
there's one other reason why we all hate Kershaw, and that is because
good.
He kills the fucking Giants every time he pitches against them.
Oh, the Giants beat him twice this year.
Yeah, but that's this year. I mean, his record against the Giants is pretty good.
Yeah, but you know what? For that reason, the fact that the Giants didn't lose to Kershaw this year, Gabe Kapler, Manager of the Year.
Oh, fuck right? You. Fuck that. Fuck that. He would be Richard Sherman if
absolutely
the Giants picked him up. He would be Richard Sherman, the person we hated the most in the NFL because he talked shit. He
would be the
torched the
first-
Giant or the Niners. He
I would be
fucked
the
us over.
first person. I would be the first person in line at Oracle Park outside of the dugout store to buy me a Kershaw jersey. I have no shame in admitting that.
Yep, absolutely.
Just like when
Oral Hershiser. It's Oral Hershiser all over again.
I petitioned harder than anybody to get Yasiel Puig on the Giants this year. I petitioned harder than any fan that I've ever seen for that. And it's the same thing. The dude turned it around. Sure, he's a Dodger. Hated him. He could fucking kick rocks for all I care. But the second if he would have signed the Giants, I would have been there wearing a 66. Oscar, yes. Let's move on. Let's talk. Oh, predictions. What happens in today's game? Dodgers, Braves.
I think the Dodgers are going to come back and win.
Okay, so Dodgers and in your situation, Dodgers, Rays. What happens?
I think the Rays win it in 5.
Wow, that's pretty ballsy there.
Because, and we just got done talking about it. Is Kershaw? If he doesn't pitch today, he's definitely pitching Game 1 of the World Series.
Right.
So chances are that's a loss.
Oscar has a break game.
And I think that if then he would come back and pitch probably in Game 5. So chances are pretty good. There's 2 losses right there.
I think if he loses Game 1, there's no chance in hell they roll him out for Game 5. Rays winning 6 over the Braves is Oscar's prediction. I don't think that's a bad prediction at all. Although, given the 90s and how the Braves kind of got upended multiple times, I would love to see the Braves back to winning a World Series. Real quick, before we move on to NFL, let's go ahead and talk about Mr. Albert Chavez. United Wholesale Lending. Albert is our go-to lender. He has been one of Greg's compadres, one of his colleagues for quite some time. And I've used him multiple times. Family members have used him multiple times to purchase and refinance their homes. Albert is the guy that we trust with all of our home refinance and purchasing lending needs. And you should too. You could give him a call, 916. It's scrolling. I don't have his number memorized. 916-230-1537. Albert is very knowledgeable. He's very trustworthy, and he's good at getting his job done quickly. Try to close your loan in as quick as possible, sometimes as low as 14 days. 21 days is his normal goal, but Albert will get it done for you. Albert Chavez, United Wholesale Lending, 916-230-1537. Give him a call when you're ready to purchase a home. Football, real fast. I do want to talk about the Raiders because they beat the Chiefs last week. They looked very good. Derek Carr is looking fantastic. Henry Ruggs IV is going to be a star in this league. Kid is good. Darren Waller.
If you had Ruggs on your fantasy team, you'd just be stupid.
Oh damn! I don't know what happened, Greg. You got muted. Yeah, the Raiders are playing great football right now. I believe they're on their bye week this week, and it's gonna be interesting to watch how they continue to thrive because Gruden has these guys playing very solid. They're playing a great brand of football right now, and it's very exciting to watch.
Yeah.
What the hell? Who the fuck was that?
What's that?
I clicked on NFL.com and one of the videos started playing. I don't know where it's playing from. I can't find it. But yeah, so Raider fans should be very happy with what is going on down in Las Vegas. There's no reason to see anything other than excitement, honestly, at this point. But we'll talk more Raiders next week when they get back on the field, since it is their bye week. I want to talk about, though, the craziness that was NFL Week 5. So We finished our show last week. I went off and played some golf. Did my normal Sunday thing, or my new normal Sunday thing, and I get a text from James Hines, or maybe it was you. It was in our group chat, and it was put on the Washington game, and I'm like, why? Why the fuck am I going to put on the Washington game? So I get on my phone, finally pull it up. Fucking Alex Smith is under center for the Washington football team, which still sounds so fucking weird to say, and is out there taking snaps and getting pummeled by the defense on that leg that damn nearly killed him. He had 21 surgeries. They almost took his leg. His leg almost took his life. If you watch the ESPN E60 on it, you would have probably lost your lunch, because they showed images of that leg that no human being should be back on the football field for, let alone running on or walking on. But Alex Smith gets back in the game. I don't know if he's starting this week or not, because I don't know if
he is. I think he is.
I don't know if what's his name cleared concussion protocol or not. But kudos to Alex Smith. I mean, the only person in that stadium that I would not have wanted to be, because they did have family in the stadium, the only person in that entire stadium that I had no desire to be whatsoever was Alex Smith's wife. That poor woman had to have been just a mess, knowing that Smith was back out on that field about to play football again after that horrific incident in 2018. Like, can you imagine what was going through her mind at that moment?
You could tell on her face. I mean, her expression that she showed when he got out there said it all. She was scared to death.
She was wearing a mask, and you could see that she was scared to death. Like, unbelievable. And I mean, man, just crazy. And kudos to him. I mean, they played. Who did they play? They played the Rams.
Yeah.
What was the Rams last week? Because Aaron Donald, there's a sound clip of him after absolutely destroying Smith on one of those plays, came out off the game, and they got a soundbite of him basically saying, "Damn, that leg is strong." Because Donald basically hopped on his back, and Smith held him up for a minute before he fucking finally went down. Unbelievable. I mean, if you remember his time in San Francisco, you probably won't ever find a bigger Alex Smith fan than myself. I loved Alex Smith. I wish he never lost his job to Kaepernick. Harbaugh's ego broke the golden rule of sports, causing Smith to lose his job to an injury. It's a no-no in my book, and it's a shame. But he went to Washington. He went to Kansas City, then got paid. Got traded to Washington. Got paid more, and good on him for getting back out on the field, and good on the I hate it, the Washington football team for not only embracing his return, but working with top-notch doctors that have designed. I'm reading about it right now. That designed this brace that is not only pliable, and I want to say it's like carbon fiber of some sort, but it's stronger than, they're calling it stronger than metal, but flexible like rubber, to where he can run and it's insane. It looks like it's just like a strap that he wears around his leg, but it's a brace that completely supports his lower leg, and kudos to him. Kudos to Washington for getting him out there. Oscar, have a go, bud. For getting back on the field and playing again. So props. I can't wait.
Somebody on the radio this week said you can pretty much just put the comeback player of the year award You can just send it to him right now because he just won it with that play.
Done. No need to vote. Just
Yep.
get it printed. When you order all the trophies, just have that one engraved with Alex Smith's name on it.
Yep.
I don't care if he doesn't play another snap.
Nope.
Give him the award. And then what a better week to come back. I mean, although he has to play on MetLife's field, because obviously that's been a tremendously terrible field this season for players, but he gets to come back against the New York Giants. Like, that's like coming back and being like, all right, we're going to go ahead and field our entire Major League roster. You're going to play the Double-A team. Warm up. You're good. Let's go. Man, kudos to him. Now, on the flip side to that, that's the awesome news of Week 5. The absolutely not awesome news of Week 5 falls on the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. The only glimmer of hope that I think Dak can have in the back of his mind, now he had successful surgery on the broken leg and broken ankle, and you know, I put it out there on Twitter and Facebook. You will never in my life see me root for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not even sure that I would root for the Cowboys against the Seahawks. Like that's just how deep the Cowboys runs in me. But I will not be rooting, or there will not be a player rooting harder that I'm rooting harder for than Dak Prescott to make a return. Dak has done nothing. He's just like Clayton Kershaw. He's done nothing to not like the kid. He's been a great player. He's been a great teammate. He's done everything he needs to do. That injury is just devastating. But if there's any glimmer of hope at all, you have to look at Alex Smith as a beacon of hope. And I hope that he reaches out to Smith. I hope that they have, you know, communication throughout this process, and he keeps a positive mindset, because it's going to take a hell of an act of God to get him back on that field. And hopefully he's able to do so, because I would love to see Dak back out on the football field. Now, on the flip side to that, there is quite a bit of animosity and hate being thrown at one particular individual in Dallas. And I don't know if you paid attention to it or not, but Dallas fans have Jerry Jones very high on their shit list. So much so that there's a lot of hatred running toward Jerry in Dallas. Now, oh hey, fun fact, if you go to our Facebook page while we're doing the show live, there's live captioning on the bottom of the page. That's cool. Yeah, I did not know that. Anyways, people are pissed off at Jerry for the way that the contract situation was held in Dallas with Dak. They're blaming Dak's uncertain future on Jerry Jones. They're talking about he should have done better for his contract. They should have paid him. There shouldn't have been so much of an issue between the two. I'm not in the belief that Jerry Jones did anything wrong per se. Now, you know, he has to look at the whole picture. Dak Prescott, to me, was not in the realm of a $150 whatever million quarterback that he wanted to be yet. And, you know, I think Jerry was right in franchise tagging him if they couldn't come up with a deal. I think that Dak was also right in betting on himself. You know, Dak wanted a 4-year deal with more money so he could cash out again at age 30. Jerry wanted him on a fifth year just to lock him up an extra time. And not to say that he wouldn't have got paid after 5 years. I mean, what's one more year at this rate? He's 26 years old. But they both gambled, right? It's Jerry's job
Absolutely.
to do what's best for the Dallas Cowboys, and it's Dak's job to do what's best for Dak Prescott. So I don't think you can fault Jerry Jones for this, but God, is it a shitty situation for Dak?
So here's my take on this.
Yeah, Dak wanted more than Mahomes, and that just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, no, that wasn't going to happen. So Jerry's got to look out. Jerry took advantage of the situation, and he took advantage of the protocol and what's available to him, and did what he had to do. I don't really feel all that sorry for Dak in this way. Yes, he left money on the table, but he's making $34 million this year.
Right.
You give you and me $34 million, and neither one of us would ever have to work again a day in our life.
Right.
Your kids would never have to work a day in their lives. So, I think that's part of the problem with that just regular Joes like you and me have with some of these players and some of these guys on ESPN that are so upset about what's going on. These guys are set for life from day one.
Right.
So he settled for $34 million. I'd settle for $34 million and not be a problem with it. If he never comes back to play another play in his life, he's set and he's going to be fine. And there comes a point where, this is an old argument. This is an old thing, but I think it still rings true with a lot of people that, 34 or 40 million, what's the difference? Are you really going to be able to spend that money? No.
The problem is, though, these players, I feel like a lot of these players, and I never thought I would say this, but the NFL needs to hire Marshawn Lynch as a financial advisor. They need to bring him in and teach these young guys how to handle their money, because Marshawn played 9 years in the NFL, started in Buffalo, went to Seattle, then Oakland. He never spent a dime of his contract money. Every dollar he made from the NFL is still sitting in the bank. He did endorsement deals. He had other money. He played with his, he used his signing bonuses and whatnot. But his contractual money, his game checks, all went to the bank. And, you don't need to go out and obviously I'm talking out of a place of not knowing the lifestyle, right? But there's nothing that says you must go out and spend $1 billion on a house and a car and chains and an entourage and this and that or whatever. Prepare yourself for the future. The average NFL lifespan is 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And I know that money is tempting. Like, you get a couple grand in your pocket in our aspect of it, right? Because obviously we're not playing with millions, but you get a couple $1,000s in your pocket and you want to spend it. You can't be buried with it. So you have this mentality of I'm going to spend it while I'm alive. And that comes out and bites people in the butt. And a lot of these players, they grow up in not so awesome situations. Money isn't on the table. They see other people that are living a lavish lifestyle and they want that. And I don't blame them at all for it.
No,
but I do blame the NFL for not having people. And I know that they have people in there that talk finances at the rookie symposiums. They've made it very clear. But if you went into a room as a it doesn't have to be a person of color, but as a player that grew up in a bad situation, you could be Hispanic, you could be white, you could be African American. It doesn't matter. If you grew up in poverty,
if you just grew up in a normal childhood, even
right, without a rich background.
Yeah.
If you walked into a room and you're going to join the NFL, and you know that you have millions coming your way, would you want to hear from Jim Baker that works at E-Trade, or would you want to hear from Marshawn Lynch who lived it?
Yeah.
It's a great service that they offer, but it's a disservice in the same way because it's not someone that these players are going to relate to. anybody can hear someone come in and say, "Oh, you should save your money and invest in Roths and this and then 401ks and blah 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 blah." But an NFL player, especially like Marshawn, he'd come in and be like, "Look, you might play 3 years. Save your fucking money. You know, it's not going to be PC. You're not going to videotape it and show it at a board of directors meeting because it's not going to be something you want to show. But it's what these players are going to deal with."
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it should be handled. But, you know, needless to say, like you said, Dak has the money. He's going to get paid. Modern medicine's going to get Dak Prescott back out on the field.
And James Hines made a good point. He's going to get franchised again, or you know, Jerry's already come out and said he's going to sign him to a long contract. So,
right.
I think it'll probably be pretty incentive laced, but
yes, which is fine because he wants to gamble on himself already once. Let him gamble again. Now, my other question I have on this, though, and then we're going to get into a little bit of 49ers talk in the next 20 minutes before we wrap it up. Is it time for the NFL, given the circumstances of their league and their type of play and their longevity of players, is it time for the NFL to adopt a Major League Baseball style contract system where they fully guarantee contracts? Because Major League Baseball doesn't have players dropping left and right with these type of injuries. They don't have ACLs blowing every other week. They don't have legs breaking. They don't have concussion protocols like this. The NFL is the only one where, you know, a player signs a big deal. Yeah, let's say you sign a $100 million deal. You get $25 million guaranteed. The rest of it is basically banking on not getting blown up by somebody or not having a bad turf that blows your knee out, or, you know, falling wrong and busting your head and then you never play again and all that money's gone. They're the only ones that don't have fully guaranteed contracts, and they're the only ones that have the likelihood of a 2.5-year career on average. Is it time for them to fully guarantee the money? Now, the money will go down, in my estimation. The annual contract, like, you're not going to see a $330 million deal like what Mahomes got. You know, you may not even see $30 million a year, you know, like what Dak is getting. But if you were able to give, let's say Dak wanted 4 years at $100 million, right? Let's say he wanted $25 million a year, or he wanted $150, he wanted $35 million a year. But that would only been like what, 75, 80 million guaranteed. The rest of it would have been incentive based. If you drop that down to 400 or 490 or even 480 for easy math again, and you get 20 million a year, but it's guaranteed money, don't you think that would sit better with the players and the Players Association, knowing that their guys are going to get paid regardless of what happens?
You know,
or do you think these guys are so driven by the big numbered contracts, the $300 million contracts, that they don't care that they're only going to get $100 million of that at the longevity of the deal?
100%. I was just going to say, I think at a certain point, you know, and I talked about this earlier, at a certain point, say 30 million a year, you're set. There's nothing else. You know, you can add more money to things, but it's not going to make that much of a difference on your life as it goes on. What so many of these guys are focused on is the respect and the cachet that having a huge contract gives them. We report all the money. So we report these 4-year, $150 million contracts these guys are getting, but we always talk about, okay, this is guaranteed. That's what he's going to get. That extra money that's not guaranteed, there's no team that's going to pay them that. Doesn't matter who you are, except if you're Tom Brady. You know, you're not going to get that. So I think a lot of it has to do with just the respect that they get and the ego-drivenness of some of those guys, that they look at that big number that's on their contract, and that's what's important to them, not the money that's going to come in. Because again, at some point, what's another $10 million?
Right. Yeah. And I honestly, if I was the Players Association, though, I would say, look, you guys got to adopt a guaranteed contract system.
Yeah.
One
I'm
second.
Trying to find out what Julio Jones is doing today.
I don't know. We're going to talk about Julio Jones here in a minute, though, because we're going to talk about the quarterback situations. So let's move on to San Francisco, and let's talk a little bit about Jimmy Garoppolo, because there's a lot of talk of Garoppolo being a huge liability, a huge issue with the team. Fans obviously are ready to throw in the towel for him. Players don't seem to have a big issue. Before we get into the breaking down of like the financials and the future of San Francisco, how do you feel about the way? Obviously, the season's going not good. It's not fun. But how do you feel about Jimmy Garoppolo? How do you feel about the way Kyle Shanahan is handling him? And what do you think's going to happen going forward for the 49ers the rest of the season?
I think Garoppolo just wasn't ready to play last week. I don't think he was ready. I think they tried to rush him. It didn't work. He looked uncomfortable from the beginning of the game.
Well, he wasn't healthy either. There's no reason that he should have been on that field.
No. The only reason he was on that field is because their backup quarterbacks suck, and he gave them the best chance that they have to win. I think that he's still a good quarterback for this system. And there was a name that came up earlier this week that I saw that he's in the same kind of mold of, and that's Matt Ryan. He is a Matt Ryan type quarterback. He's not going to throw the 80-yard bombs that or 60-yard bombs that Aaron Rodgers is going to throw. He's not going to be as pinpoint accurate as Brady or Montana was, or Steve Young. But he's not going to fuck anything up. He's going to be an Alex Smith game manager, and he's going to hand the ball off and put them in spots to get the best out of the running game and make the passes that are going to keep the defenses on their toes. And that's what you got in Garoppolo, but he has to be healthy to do that. And so I think right now, with the system that they have and the quarterbacks they have on their roster, he's the best thing that we have. Now, with that being said, Matt Ryan is a free agent next year. And I heard more than one person say this week that he might be somebody the Niners are looking at because he's familiar with the system. He still has some talent left. He still has a couple years to play. He might be somebody that they bring in if Garoppolo just doesn't do it. But he played last year and he played pretty damn well. So,
yeah,
I think he has to be healthy. I don't think you can judge him on what he did last week because I think he wasn't healthy. And and a point that you always make is he's got a really favorable contract. So you're bringing in, the problem with the Matt Ryan, if he doesn't get cut, is, he's got a contract that's pretty stiff and pretty backloaded, where Garoppolo's is pretty front loaded, and he's now going to start making less. And so that's going to give you a little bit more freedom to bring in some offensive linemen and some depth that they need on defense and some secondary people that they need on defense to get them back to the point of where they were last year.
Agreed. And, the Matt Ryan thing has come up a few times. I think if the Niners are going to be players in the Matt Ryan sweepstakes, then they're going to have to try to make a trade. I think you make a trade for him at the deadline. And the reason why I say that is because that allows the Niners to evaluate what he has left, to see if it's something that they want to pursue going forward. Jimmy obviously would cost a lot of money sitting on the bench, but Atlanta likely would take over most of Ryan's contract for the rest of this season. And you kind of test the waters. Now, unless Shanahan has it in his back pocket that they have the greatest relationship and he could poach him and have no issues with it. But at what cost? Like, it would have to be less than what Garoppolo would make next season. So Garoppolo would be making $24 million next year in 2021. It's not guaranteed money, but he can make up to $24 million, and then $25 million in 2022. Now, on the flip side of that, if the Niners simply cut Garoppolo after this year, they're only on the hook for $2.8 million in dead cap space. It would save the Niners $25.5 million next season, against the cap and in terms of real money, and then another $25.6 million in real money in 2022. So ultimately, that would take that 5-year, $137 million deal that they gave him and make it a 3-year, $86 million deal with only $2.8 million in dead cap space. So that in itself is appealing. Josh, no one's going to trade for Jimmy. There's not a team that would. I don't think there's a team right now that would trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. If I take that back, if another injury happens, obviously something could happen, but I think the only team crazy enough right now that would trade for him would be if Andy Dalton just fucking shits the bed in Dallas. I can see Dallas making a move for Garoppolo because Dak's going to be out another year. There's no way Dak plays football next season. It's going to be probably 2 years, just like or a year and a half, 2 years.
They said 5 to 6 months recuperate.
Recuperate? Is that a word now? Recuperation, recovery.
Recovery.
I think if Dallas is smart, man, that's tough because they have to either sign him or let him go because they can't just his contract it still expires. That's a tough one because if you franchise him next year, that's a $35 million sit on the bench while he's hurt still.
Yeah.
Got to be crazy, but I mean the Niners have to figure out something because you have to look at. And it's funny that we're going to talk about this because I'm wearing my Garoppolo jersey on purpose today because I knew we were going to talk about this. Do you gamble on Garoppolo going forward and take that money? Do you try to restructure him and see if he'll break it down to get less? Do you continue to play with the idea that maybe you could do better at quarterback? Like, there's a lot going on in the world of the NFL quarterback, and you have to look at the options. Is it really better than Jimmy Garoppolo? Because Matt Ryan's under contract for 3 more seasons in Atlanta. So Ryan he'll make $23 million next year. He has a potential opt out in 2022. If he opts in, he's under contract until 2024 when he becomes a restricted free agent. So you could trade for Matt Ryan, hoping that Atlanta takes a majority of his base salary, which, if I'm reading this correctly, Matt Ryan this season, this is going to blow your mind. Matt Ryan this season, how the fuck is this even possible? His base salary this year is $1,050,000 with a $9.3 million signing bonus.
Oh, wow.
and they restructured $6 million out of this year's contract to make it a total of $18 million on the cap. But he's only making $1 million base this year. Then it jumps up to $23 million next year. So if you did make a trade for Matt Ryan and you bring him in, Atlanta will cover that $1 million.
So I'm just thinking of a conspiracy theory here, which I love a good conspiracy theory.
Before we do that, let me go back to my real quick question here about, is there a better option out there unless you trade for Matt Ryan? Or the team just sucks ass this year and then they try to draft a quarterback. But I'm just going to blow through this list of quarterback free agents for next season. Tell me if any of these are better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
There's one that's not going to be on that list that you're not going to say. So go ahead. Say your list.
All right. So there's Brett Hundley, Matt Schaub, Robert Griffin III, Matt Barkley, Mitch Trubisky, Andy Dalton, Dak Prescott, Tim Boyle, who's restricted, AJ McCarron, Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Mike Glennon, Tyrod Taylor, Nathan Peterman, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Sean Mannion, Brian Hoyer, Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, Colt McCoy, Joe Flacco, Nate Sudfeld, Josh Dobbs, Geno Smith, CJ Beathard, Nick Mullins, who's restricted, Blaine Gabbert, Ryan Griffin.
Well, Cam's going to resign with New England.
Absolutely.
That's a given. Dalton will probably end up resigning with the Cowboys, depending on how he does. Fitzpatrick might be there. I mean, he's 150 years old, but
he's my fantasy quarterback this week.
He's doing well. I don't know. I mean, trade for Matt Ryan, and right now the Falcons are 0-5.
Right.
And there's a huge quarterback that people are saying is the highest rated quarterback coming out of college since John Elway. Even better than Andrew Luck as a rating that these guys are these draft experts are saying. And that's the kid that's Trevor Lawrence. So, as the Falcons, do you trade away Matt Ryan, or do you cut him, or do you just let him keep going at 0-5, tank the rest of the season, and try to draft Trevor Lawrence? And he conceivably could be your next quarterback for the next 15 years.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. Like, how do you leverage that against your team?
But somebody's going to start putting Trevor Lawrence in their sights, and they're going to figure out ways to get Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
So, Tanvir, you need to come in earlier because we already talked about the Kings.
What's going on here? My computer froze up on me.
Oh, did it? Oh, okay.
There we go. I got it back. Okay, cool. Tanvir, what are your thoughts on the front office haul? It's good. It's a broken ankle, no ligaments. He'll be ready for camp. Okay, well that's good on Dak. But yeah, I mean, you have to. What's up, Vegas Ron? You have to decide. Like I said, there's not a quarterback on that list that I read that's better than Garoppolo. So if you can bring in Ryan, and does Atlanta not win a game? The Jets are talking about Lawrence. Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to be talking about Lawrence. That's the thing. It's just a matter of how you get him, and that's the nice thing about the NFL. If you decide, hey, we're going to fucking suck ass this whole year, you have a chance at him. Do y'all think it's possible to get Giannis to the Kings? No, no. They're not going to trade for him for a 1-year, sweetheart deal just to borrow him for a season for him to go somewhere else.
He might come to if you were here earlier, you would have heard our predictions on that. He's coming to NorCal. He'll
be in Northern California, but it'll be with the Warriors and not the Kings. When is the trade deadline for the NFL?
I don't know. It's nobody ever trades in the NFL though.
Yeah, they do.
Very rarely.
NFL trade deadline is
Probably week 12, week 13, something like that.
Is it this week? Is it week 6?
No.
Oh, November 3rd. So, so what's that? 2 more weeks before it starts, right? Is that week 8? November 3rd would essentially be the end of week 8. So before week 9 starts, because Monday is November 2nd, the Monday night game. So you have 3 weeks for the Niners to evaluate Jimmy Garoppolo, to see what they have left in him. Now, it's going to be tough. They have the Rams. They have New England at home. This is the toughest stretch of their schedule by far this season as well.
Their schedule is brutal for
them. And then they're home for Seattle. So if you're gonna gamble on Jimmy Garoppolo, you have 3 weeks to do it before you make a decision on what happens here. So real quick, football's about to start. We have a minute. Let's go through our picks, and then we'll go ahead and get everybody on their way so they can go ahead and watch some football. And if anyone else has any random, rapid fire questions, we'll answer them while we're going through. Real fast, the standings in our league. Josh Zimmerman, who's on right now, is in first place with 54 wins. Morgan, 53. TJ, 52. Bobby, 52. Myself, 52. James right behind there in 6th place at 51, tied with Mike. Hammer Time and Greg Rosa, you're both tied at 47 with MVP 15. And then if you hear me knock on wood, I'm not sure who that is at 46. And then Jeff is at 41.
Did your mom give up?
It appears so. She has 10. Le'Veon Bell, I mean, what can you say about that? It's unfair, but it may not unfair. It's ridiculous. But if you look at the way the Chiefs use new guys, like last year, they got Shady McCoy right at the deadline, and then they grabbed someone else last year too. And they barely used them. So Andy Reid's not really big on implementing new guys usually in the middle of a season. So it'll be interesting to see how they use them. Le'Veon Bell is not Le'Veon Bell from Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. He has not been Le'Veon Bell from Pittsburgh since
he took his vacation.
Since he took his vacation. So it's it's not going to be good. All right, real quick picks. Titans, who are not going to be punished for COVID violations, by the way, are hosting the Texans.
I got Tennessee.
So do I. Bengals are at the Colts.
Colts.
I'm taking the Bengals in this game. Falcons are at the Vikings.
I really wish I would have changed this, but I'm taking Minnesota. I'm
taking Atlanta to get their first win of the year. Patriots host the Broncos.
Patriots.
Washington, Alex Smith goes to New York to play the Giants.
I got the Giants.
I have Washington. Ravens go to the Eagles.
Ravens.
Same. Steelers host the Browns. I have the Steelers.
I do too.
I have the Panthers over the Bears in Charlotte. I have the Jaguars over the Lions.
I do too.
I have the Dolphins over the Jets.
Yep.
In my tiebreaker, I have the Jets scoring the least amount of points and the Dolphins scoring the most amount of points this week.
I have the Jets scoring the least amount of points. And it's just a given. I always put Kansas City as the team that's going to score the most points.
There you go. Packers go to the Bucks.
Pack.
Same. Rams go to the Niners.
Yeah, Niners.
I have the Rams. I just don't have. I might change that before the game starts, just because it's hard for me to root against my team. Chiefs are at the Bills.
I have the Chiefs.
That's the early Monday night game, and then we have the late Monday night game. The Cardinals go to the Cowboys.
I think the Cardinals are going to destroy Dallas.
I agree with that as well. So there's our picks, and So real quick though, because I forgot to do it earlier in the show, and we're going to do it right here to wrap up the show. So then I'm going to try this new feature that Be Live just rolled out to us for editing purposes. But I want to take a quick second to talk about Fidelis Canine Training. Patrick Smith is running a fantastic organization out here in Rancho Cordova, California, building relationships and bonds with all sorts of dogs. Last week, he did an informational seminar on Thursday night. There was dogs ranging from Chihuahuas that were about 12 pounds to a Great Dane and a Mastiff mixed dog out there that was like 8 months old and 110 pounds. And everything in between, all the dogs out there intermingling, all the dogs working on different skills and abilities. Patrick is building a empire out here when it comes to dog training, and it's easy to become a part of it. Check him out on Facebook, Fidelis Canine Training, or give Patrick a call, 916-337-0104. He is able to change the dynamic to help build relationships with multiple dogs. There was one dog out there on Thursday night that had to basically sit in the corner. He could not be around any other dog when he was on his leash. He was extremely aggressive. He was snapping at other dogs. He was snapping at other people. And it was just a troublesome experience the entire night long. Patrick had him dropped off the next morning and posted videos on his Instagram and Facebook of that dog not only on leash walking through 15 to 20 other dogs, but playing off leash with other dogs as well.
Wow.
One day, he changed that dog's whole perception. So he can do the same for you. So if you have an aggressive dog, if you have someone that you're scared about being around people, kids, babies, other dogs, he can take care of all of it. There was a dog out there that was they were worried about him being around children. He had never been around children before. And they were scared to take him places that may have children. He brought out his a family member's baby who's barely maybe 6 months old, maybe a year, and after a few hours had that dog playing with the baby. So
that's confidence in your ability.
Absolutely. Patrick is amazing at what he does. He's changed the shape of our dogs, and it's ever growing, and he can do the same for yours as well.
How did you hear about him?
Through a friend of mine that used him for their dogs as well. Good. He lives right here in our neighborhood, and growing a great relationship with him and his family as well. So, and also too, it's veteran owned and operated. Patrick is a Marine, former Marine. He helps with law enforcement.
No such thing as a former Marine.
Yeah, he's a Marine. If you pay attention to Sex Sheriff, they just brought on a brand new dog, Bruno, into their canine fleet. Patrick had that dog, trained that dog, and that dog went from Patrick to Sex Sheriff.
Oh, cool.
So he works with local law enforcement. He does a military veterans program where if someone surrenders a dog and they want it to go to a veteran, he trains the dog, builds up foundation, and then provides veterans with companion dogs as well. So he does a great service. He does great things for our community and the greater Sacramento area. So 916-337-0104. Give Patrick at Fidelis a call, and he can definitely help you out. With that being said, Mr. Veroza, anything else you want to cover?
I'm good.
All right. Football started. Week 6 is underway. We will see you guys all next week.
Night, Larry.